What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports back again with another one. Gonna talk about Danny Swift Garcia. He's on a hunt for an opponent. You know, it was widely speculated that Danny Garcia would be fighting Mikey Garcia. You know, he was looking to make that fight in LA. Staples Center was the venue that was being targeted for that matchup. But it turns out that Mikey Garcia is in negotiations with Eddie Hearn to get a multi-fight deal with DAZN. That's very, very interesting. You know, DAZN doesn't have any top-level fighters at 147 pounds. They've got Maurice Hooker at 140 pounds, but he's got a tough fight against Jose Ramirez. You know, I'm not sure he gets by that fight, but if he gets by that fight, maybe that's a possible opponent for Mikey Garcia. But that's not you know, a big fight that Mike Garcia said he's been looking for. You know, he's looking for all big fights at this point of his career. Maurice Hooker, very good, very skilled, but that's not a big fight. So we'll see what he does, man. But maybe the bag is so big that he can't turn that down, man. We'll see what happens with Mikey Garcia as far as that goes. But Danny Garcia has been making the rounds in Las Vegas, doing a little work for PBC analysts, analyzing the Manny Pacquiao-Keith Thurman fight. He was at the Caleb Plant, Mike Lee press conference yesterday, you know, analyzing that fight, you know, as they had a very spirited press conference. But Danny's looking for an opponent, man, and he's saying he's looking at, he wouldn't mind getting the Manny Pacquiao-Keith Thurman winner or even the Errol Spence versus Sean Porter winner. Now, we'll see what happens, man. I speculate that if Keith Thurman wins, if he beats Manny Pacquiao's got a rematch clause. There's nobody talking about that. Everybody's saying, well, Keith win, they won't see him fight Errol, but he ain't gonna be able to fight Errol or nobody else if Pacquiao, you know, exercise his rematch clause. He would have to fight Keith Thurman again. So we'll see what happens on that end. But say Manny Pacquiao wins. If he wins and Errol Spence wins, I think that's the fight to be made. You know, Manny Pacquiao is looking for big fights so he can get paid, you know, huge sums of money. And Errol Spence is the biggest money fight out there, and I think they'll be able to make that fight if they can come to terms on an agreement. You know, he's making $20 million for the Keith Thurman fight. It'll probably, you know, he'll probably ask for at least $25 million for Errol Spence plus pay-per-view upside. He's making $20 million. Let me clarify that. He's making $20 million for the Keith Thurman fight plus pay-per-view upside. Against Errol, he'll probably want at least, Errol being a bigger name in a tougher fight, he'll probably at least want $25 million plus pay-per-view upside. So that means that depending on the total revenue of the fight, you know, it depends on what Errol will accept. You know, he might not, you know, I think Keith is making $4 million for this fight. It's no way in hell Errol Spence is going to take $4 million, especially coming off a Sean Porter unification win. He wouldn't want $4 million. So it'll be interesting to see. So I think if they come to terms, I think the next probable fight, if Manny and Errol fights, if Manny Pacquiao wins and Errol Spence wins, I think those two come together and make a fight, possibly at AT&T Stadium in Dallas. But so I think that'll leave Danny Garcia still looking for an opponent. So I think his best bet is look at the undercard of Pacquiao versus Thurman. Omar Figueroa versus Udonis Ugas is a very, very intriguing fight. A lot of people are speculating that could be the card-stealing fight of the night. They think that fight could steal a shine and be the fight of the night. We'll see. Now, if Omar Figueroa wins that fight, I can easily see Omar Figueroa versus Danny Garcia. That'll be the old tradition Mexican versus Puerto Rican fight, even though Omar's from Texas. You know, he's from, I think, West Texas, right outside San Antonio, I think, somewhere close to San Antonio. I think he's from that area, but he's from Mexican descent. So I think that'll be a good fight to make. Even, you know, and same thing with Danny. He's Puerto Rican, but he's from Philadelphia. So that'll be a good fight to make. You know, maybe they look for that fight, but Omar Figueroa is not guaranteed to beat Adonis Ugas, who's a very skilled Cuban fighter with Cuban amateur pedigree. So we'll see what happens with that, man. But if Omar wins, maybe they make Danny Garcia versus Omar Figueroa win. Now, if on the other card fight, you got Sergey Lipinets against John Molina. I'm looking for Sergey Lipinets to win that fight. But if he can win that fight in devastating fashion, maybe get a highlight reel knockout and look very impressive, maybe you do a Danny Garcia versus Sergey Lipinets fights. They probably have to put that fight in the Barclays in New York. Danny Garcia has a good following down there in New York. A lot of people can come down there from the Philadelphia area, which is not a far drive. So maybe they make that fight. So I think those are two logical opponents for Danny Garcia. assuming that he doesn't get the Errol Spence, Sean Porter winner, or the Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman winner. So we'll see what happens on that game. Now I'm gonna go back to the Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence potential matchup. Now, like I said, if both guys win, that fight is probably the fight they're gonna try to make. But like I said, they got to come to terms. If Errol's gonna want a bigger piece of the pie, he made what? I don't know what he made on the air. Exactly what he made against Mikey Garcia, but they said he made real good, good money. It's been speculated he made around $8 or $10 million. Now, if he asks for more, he's gonna probably ask for more than that. He might ask for maybe 12 million. Just say he make 12 million. Depending on the total revenue of that fight, that could dip into the Manny Pacquiao, what he's gonna demand. Like I said, he's gonna demand a $25 million minimum plus pay-per-view upside. So say the total revenue of that fight is say it's 35 million. This is just conservative. I think that's conservative. Say it's 35 million total revenue of that fight, the pay-per-view and all that. Now, if it's 35 and Manny's asking for 25, that's going to leave Earl with 10. Earl made that fight Mikey Garcia. He's going to want more than that fight in a legendary fight against Manny Pacquiao, especially coming off a unification win against Sean Porter. Especially if that does decent pay-per-view numbers. He's going to want more than 10. So it all depends on the total pot of the revenue. Now, if it's around 40 million, which I would think it would be around 40 or more million, I think they can make that fight happen. They give Manny 25, give Earl 15 or somewhere around there, close to 15, 13 to 15 million, and I think the fight can be made. Be a big fight, especially in Cowboy Stadium. Big fight. They probably have to open up the upper level deck in the stadium, and it'll be sold out, man. It'll be sold out for that fight. That'd be a big time matchup. We'll see what happens, man. But just my speculation. I know I kind of went off the original topic talking about Danny hunting for a next opponent, but it all works together, man. It's all variables that kind of work together, man. So we'll see what happens, man. But again, Daniel Garcia is on the hunt for an opponent, because it looks like Mikey Garcia might be getting ready to join the zone. And like I said, I don't know. Maybe the money, the bag is so much. He got to get there. I can't never be mad at somebody getting the bag, but it's not. He don't have a lot of. He's looking for big fights. There's no big fights at the 140. It's now no big fights at 147. Now 140 is some good fights, but it's not big fights either. Like I say, he can get Maurice Hooker win, or maybe he can get the fight between Josh Taylor and Regis Prograis. Maybe he gets the win of that. That's a good fight, but it's not a big fight, especially coming off a fight with Errol Spence. That was a big fight. Then another potential fight with Danny Garcia is a much bigger fight, much higher profile fight than he would have against Maurice Hooker or the Josh Taylor Regis Prograis winner. So we'll see what happens, man, with Danny Garcia. Like I say, he's on the hunt for an opponent, and my best bet is he gets Omar Figueroa if Figueroa beats Adonis Ugas, and that's a big if, or he gets Sergey Limbanets, and Sergey Limbanets looks very spectacular in knocking out or stopping John Molina. We'll see what happens. But this is JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. Holla.